You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with Logan Bruce. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I invited Logan on because I've been following him for only a couple years now, and he has a huge heart for recovery, for music, which is a passion I share, and I just love what he's doing. He inspires me personally, and because I know you don't know this about me, man, but I kind of do a similar thing to you. I play music, recovery related songs about my relationship with God, and uh, make that a part of my testimony when I give my lead in different recovery centers and rehabs. And so,
Sure.
seeing what you do on a much grander scale is encouraging to me. And I don't know a lot about your story, so I wanted to have you on to like share your story with us and share where your heart is and what may be next for you.
All right, cool, dude. Yeah, I guess first before we get started, when we're done with this, we'll have to talk about if there's any way we can collaborate on some music there. I
That'd be
didn't know
cool.
that you wrote or performed or anything. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Awesome.
But um, yeah, usually, so I do similar, I guess, to you. Like I've started going into treatment centers and sometimes meetings and stuff, but even schools like middle schools and whatnot, like I
Oh,
go in,
wow.
like I'm here in Ohio, like trying to just spread my story, and music's a big part of that. Um, I usually like when I go into the schools or treatment centers, I like to start off by saying that music was not always a part of it. I didn't know that I could sing or anything.
Yeah.
Until went to my first rehab, and but quickly before that, like I know probably you can relate to this, the listeners can listen to it as well if they've been through similar stuff. um Growing up, I always just kind of felt a little bit different, like um not that anything was wrong with me or anything, but I just like always, like I was a quiet kid and I wanted to make sure that people liked me. I grew up and I played baseball. That's kind of who I was. The 3 years I was in college, I never graduated because of alcohol and drugs, but I studied psychology, and they were talking a lot about like the stage characters we play in life, and it's like Logan the baseball player, Logan the alcoholic, Logan the musician.
Right.
Um, Long story short, I had a baseball scholarship to college. Within a month of being, so like everything that I had dreamed of growing up came true. I was going to even two of my high school teammates went to the same school as me. One of them ended up getting drafted into the pros. But within a month of being at school, I quit baseball and I never played again because I was drinking every day within being it, like just being away from home. And it was like, dude,
Yeah.
shit, this is awesome. Until it wasn't.
Right. Right.
Um, but I don't know. Then that's just kind of, I feel like when we lose like that one positive thing that we might have, and then you also are susceptible to like the depression, anxiety, drinking, and drugs to fix those two things, or
Yeah.
however many things there might be. Like I was just off and running. I don't know, like I won't like try to go through every detail, but 3 years after that, I turned 21. A month after I turned 21, I had a seizure from alcohol withdrawal, and I broke my back during the seizure.
Oh, wow.
That was like 3 years almost to the day of me
What, from falling
quitting.
down or?
I was like rolled off a couch or something. Because
Wow.
I was just like, as soon as I turned 21, again, I was like, this is awesome. I just was at the liquor store every morning when it opened.
Right.
And there were other substances involved too, but that was like the acceptable one, I guess, in my mind, even though at 9 a.m. it's not really acceptable. Uh,
Yeah.
like when the guy knows your name when you're walking into the liquor store, like on a Wednesday morning, it's like, all right, maybe I should stop. Uh, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Been
but
there, man.
yeah. it's I guess just there quickly, like was your thing like is it drinking or I mean kind of just everything
Drinking
or
was my first and last love. I also
yeah.
was a opiate addict that ended up being heroin and fentanyl.
Yep.
I drank my way through that detox shortly before going to treatment, but
Mhm.
alcohol was the hard one for me.
Yeah,
Because
it's
for me, I mean, sorry to interrupt. For me, it was just like sort of like you. I had a lot of anxiety and self-pity and depression about things that I had done and what I wasn't. And so alcohol was that solution, right? I didn't have to think
right.
and feel about those things. I just stayed numb. That was part of my love for opiates as well. I just wanted to be numb. I didn't want to think and feel about the guilt and whatever I felt about who I was. I just wasn't comfortable in my own skin, and
Exactly.
it took a lot of work to get through that to where I'm able to do today, to even do things like this. It would have given me extreme anxiety back in the day because drugs and alcohol were a part of every social situation I was
Right.
in.
Or even like playing music. It's like that's where some like I still get
Yeah.
anxious before I play, but it's like, dude, how like I don't know. I couldn't even like talk to girls in college unless I was drinking first or anything. And then like I'm sing like in front of, 300 high school students telling my story about being a drug addict. It's just like complete opposite of who I've always been. Um, but yeah, drinking like and I wish like that the story would end there and like I had the seizure, broke my back and the, heavens opened up and I was like, okay, I'm done drinking because something bad happened. That wasn't the case at all. Um, like I think I stopped drinking for 2 or 3 months, and that just meant that I ramped up other things like smoking weed and
Yep.
just other whatever.
Substituting.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know, I'm trying to think. And I eventually like I started drinking. Then I went to my first rehab and I remember it was in Tennessee. I'm from Ohio, so it was like a couple states away. Um, and I was there for 90 days. And again, I show up and I'd done pills and all this other stuff there, but or beforehand, but when I show up and everyone's talking about like smoking crack and doing heroin, and I was just like, this college baseball player that drank a little too much. It was like,
Right.
I would listen to some of this shit, sorry, stuff, and
Yeah.
just be
I
like, well,
get
that's not gonna be me. Like you guys, like I feel bad for you. That sucks. That's not what I do though. I'm not as bad as you.
yeah.
I don't know if you ran into that, like
Yeah,
not maybe
well, I
not like
mean,
I looked
by the
down on them
time
or
I
anything.
yeah,
It was just hard to relate to it. It was like, well,
I
it's
know the
heroin and alcohol are
feeling
different. Hmm.
because by the time I got to rehab, I didn't go till I had already broke out the jackhammer on every rock bottom I'd hit. I
Yeah.
knew that that's where I need to be, and but I do understand that sentiment because you're like, well, I'm not a crackhead on the street breaking into homes and doing this. I just drink a little too much, and it's socially acceptable, and
Mhm.
and then you feel like you don't fit in that environment. And because when I went to rehab, I wasn't being forced to go by DOC or like a lot of the guys were there being forced to be there.
Yeah.
And I was there because I knew I needed to be there. And I thank God that I took it on myself to realize, like, because they were all like, why are you here if you don't have to be here? And I was like, oh, I need to be here. Trust
Right.
me. And I took that and I used that to like, I'm going to complete this program and
Mhm.
try to get everything I can out of it because I know this is what I need, not because I'm not as bad as this person or I don't fit in here or there, but because I need it for me. And I'm
Right.
grateful that I took that approach to it.
Yeah, that's eventually like I would get to that point. It's just yeah, kind of looking back on it, it's just crazy. Like I don't like whoever you are, and there may be well, I don't even want to say there may be special circumstances, 'cause there's probably not. But like if you end up in a rehab, like you probably need to be like no matter how you get there, if somebody made you go, if you like convince yourself that you need to go, like there's no really like talking your way around it. Like if you're in a rehab, there's a reason you're there,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And I know I didn't really believe that at first, but the reason I tell the story about that first treatment center is like, um, I brought my guitar down there with me for some reason, and the only like I knew how to play Wonderwall, and
that's
I knew how
funny.
to yeah the Goo Goo Dolls, two Goo like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls and Slide by Goo Goo Dolls, and those were the only three songs that I knew. But for some reason. I brought my guitar with me to this place. And this guy would show up once a month and he would come in and tell his story, and he was a musician. He had some weird claim to fame, like he was the backup keyboardist for Leonard Skinner or something.
Okay.
And it was just like it was like complete. I'm like, dude, just lie, like just tell us you're the keyboardist, man. You don't gotta say. Like, maybe he's being humble, but
Yeah.
like, dude, just say you're the keyboardist. It's cool. And but every time he like I would when everyone's out smoking cigarettes and playing spades, like I would bring the guitar outside and play Wonderwall, or like some of the other guys would then take it and play whatever, Nirvana, whatever they
Yeah.
knew. Um, and the dude would always, at the end of him telling his story and playing his music, he would say, "Anybody want to come up here and play?" Um, and the first 2 months out of the three, I didn't do anything. But for whatever reason, like I was leaving a couple days after his last visit, and he's like, "Does anybody want to play?" And like then he pointed at me and said, "All right, come up." And like I realized like my hand was up at that point, and I was like, damn it, like what the fuck did I just? Why was my? I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but I got up there, I played. Um, like I had actually like kind of written a song to that point. And I played it, and I looked out, and like everyone, like there were people there that were like crying. It was like an addiction related, like it was not a happy song. But then they all came up to me afterwards and were like, "Dude, that was really good. That like is exactly how I've been feeling." And it kind of hit me then, like kind of like what um music can do to like reach people.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I didn't stay sober after I left that place. Uh I've been to multiple treatment centers since then. But one of them, I guess like the one of the last ones I would talk about is I again brought my guitar to another treatment center. This one was in Florida, so I just kept like working my way down the country, like as I got sent to rehabs until I ended up as far south as you can go in Florida.
Yeah.
Um, and my roommate ended up being Joe Nestor. I don't know if you know who he is. Like
Yeah.
he's was a popular musician, like in the recovery and Christian music space more
Yeah.
recently. But I again showed up with my guitar. They put me in the room with this guy, and he was this dude that was homeless a week ago from Philadelphia. He didn't have teeth or anything. And we had told our story like after this, so he'd be cool with me like joking about him. But like he asked if he could see my guitar, and I'm thinking like I'm never gonna see this fucking thing again. Like he's gonna take it, and this will be the last time I ever see my guitar.
Yeah.
Um, but then he started playing a song that he wrote, and it was a song of his called "Never Gonna Take My Soul," and it actually ended up going viral a few years later, and that's what kind of like catapulted him up. But long story short, like just hearing him play music, then he heard me play my one song that I had written. We both kind of at that point, and when he would tell his story, he would say that again, I don't know, took a train down from Philadelphia to Florida, to go to this rehab that his friend worked at. And when he got there, then some random kid from Ohio showed up with a guitar, and which would be me. And he was like, that was just kind of like a God moment. Like he hadn't touched a guitar in probably 10 or 15 years because he'd been on the streets.
Yeah.
But he used to play music when he was in high school. And me showing up with that guitar, him playing music, then helped me like realize that, okay, well, maybe like if he can do it, and he would encourage me to go play open mics with him. And even like a AA talent show we went to, he like made me go do, and I ended up winning the talent show. So when we would tell our story, like I always make sure to tell him like he made me go do that shit, and I ended up beating him in it. um
That's hilarious, man. That was what kind of got me started. I was in rehab and they did a talent show, and I wrote a song about my experience in there. I was about 4 months in and played it and won that talent show. And
Really?
and that's what kind of like started slowly giving me the courage to keep doing it, you know what I mean? So that's
Right.
wild.
Yeah, it's like I don't, and like not that we need like to win something to like, but I kind of felt like I did, and I don't know if you felt the same way. Like I like at some point, like I just felt so bad about myself that just seeing and like or hearing people say that my music was good and it was helping them, like it helped me kind of start to at least change the way I felt about myself because I did not like
Absolutely. Yeah,
myself,
I
you
mean,
know.
like I had so much fear and anxiety going into doing that. Like I had
Mhm.
played music before, but I was always drunk or high when I played in front of people, right? This was me in front of 100 men, playing a
Mhm.
song on our experience, our shared experience there in this rehab. And, I will say the competition wasn't steep in there. The third place was three guys that were line dancing. So,
Yeah.
but it still was that encouragement and more opportunities like that. Like I got consequences for some issues I had and and then one of my buddies made one of the things I had to do was to play my guitar every night back for SOS, the guys who were like new to the
Mhm.
program. And seeing that they enjoyed that more than the same people coming back every night telling them the same thing, just
Yeah.
having something different for them, that was like extra encouragement on top of that. And it's just like,
Mhm.
if I face these fears and I face this anxiety and I push through it, then good things come of it. I gain
Right.
confidence. People are, blessed by it and enjoy it. And so it's just like this snowball thing that, I've kind of tried to hold on to,
Right.
I get it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to like look back and think on all that stuff, but it's I don't know, like you winning that or like just even me rooming with Joe, like or them like having you play every single night, like when if it was up to you, I don't know if it was up to me, I wouldn't do that.
No, never.
Like the only way I would do it is just somebody told me I had to.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah.
and it kind of like pushes you to get out of your comfort zone and even again I don't know if you're big on AA or anything but like this whole idea of helping people in general is
Yeah,
like
well, that's what I was
helping
going to
me
ask you. The program I went through was a 6 month AA behavior modification rehab. So I
yeah
was wondering, like, what was the place you went that I guess you went through several of them, but what was the one that like helped you the most? The last one?
yeah um I would say the one with Joe like helped the most at least then like every like after I left that place every time I relapsed I it was like because I had been sober for like a 8 to 9 months after I left there. So I'd
Mhm.
like kind of felt what being sober and recovery was all about. So
Yeah,
it kind of ruined, if it wasn't already, but like ruined drinking and drugs for me because it was
right,
like I
right.
had fun being sober this last time. Um, speed up, I guess. Like the last treatment center I went to, I ended up so I guess in between there it's I guess we might hear this a lot, like especially like in the men's treatment centers and stuff. But I met a girl in rehab, and we ended. I this is I hate saying this shit, but like we ended up getting engaged. I don't know. I was like 2 months sober. Um,
Yeah,
it's just like what the hell was I don't know what I was thinking. But um.
yeah.
I don't know what she was thinking either, like saying yes, like just like I didn't have anything, you know. But so yeah, I got engaged. She was her drug of choice was different than mine. Long story short, probably about 2 months after this, I was addicted to heroin. Um, she had like she is
That
still
was her drug of
opioid.
choice.
Yeah, her drug of choice was heroin, and it was um she had overdosed in front of me and ended up just from me actually being like in that first treatment center with those guys that like talking about how like someone OD'd in front of them and they knew how to like throw them in a cold shower and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like she ended up being okay just because I did that. And I like it, the light bulb went off in my head was like, well, if I start doing the drugs with her, then she can't do all of them, which means like she won't overdose again.
We can come up with some of the best excuses in our heads, to justify our behavior. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like it sounds so stupid, but at the time I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. The relationship didn't work out. I ended up in that apartment alone, like now with like a new heroin addict that I didn't really know anything about. So I was just guessing every time I'd get high. I don't know like how I didn't like how I'm still here to be honest, because it was like the way I drank, it was like get a bottle of Jack Daniels, drink the entire bottle, um, and then wake up, do it again. So like with something like heroin, you don't know what's in it. Like I don't know like how I'm still here because I didn't know how much to use. Not like I won't get graphic. I just didn't know what I was doing.
right.
but like I had sold stuff to drink before, um, but with opiates, like, or heroin specifically, it was like it was like a fire sale. Like everything had to everything had to go. I had to sell everything I had within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
just yeah, like you mentioned the just withdrawals and stuff. Like man, that um I don't like you've had experience with it. Like it's
Oh
usually
yeah, man. It was like a long, slow process with pills over many years and kind of similar to you. I got with a girl who was doing heroin and I was doing pills, and my thing was like, okay, we'll meet in the middle. I'll do harder pills and you won't do heroin, right? And we'll make this work
that
and
sounds
I'll
smart.
feel better about it.
Yeah,
And but then my
and then
already
you're over
bad
it. Yeah,
addiction mixed with my alcoholism, that relationship didn't work out, obviously. And then I'm stuck with this really expensive pill habit that it just became cheaper to do heroin, because I got to survive. And so that process, and then it was years of that, just miserable years of that. I was going to work with a half gallon of vodka and a bag of dope, and working at a GE, this plant in Louisville. I was living in Louisville at the time, and
yeah,
it was just like, no, I was not happy, but somehow I was like, I don't know how I didn't die either. I was the same way
yeah.
because I approached everything I did with like full throttle. There was no moderation in who I was or what I did. So, uh, very similar to your experience. And so you went through that uh last rehab, and you said that was the one that most connected with you, or do you
Yeah,
work a kind of recovery program? Do you work an AA program, or did you do the steps, or?
yeah. So I was way more active in AA when I first got sober. That is something I'm working on. Like I've been getting back to meetings and stuff. Um, but it was just kind of like that last rehab. Again, I had like sold everything that I owned except for my guitar, and I was sitting outside of a pawn shop with my guitar and looking back on rooming with Joe, looking back on the backup keyboardist Leonard Skinner, like asking me to get up and play the winning the talent show, and it was like I just remember sitting there and thinking, like if I sell this guitar, like I just want it to be like if like I'm admitting defeat. Like I hope that I die if I sell this guitar because I can't do this anymore. Um, but and this was like you said you did it for years. I don't know if like saying that I'm like impressed with that's the right way to say it, but it was like heroin kicked my ass like within like 2 months. Like that was I was at rock bottom after 2 months, sold everything that I had. But I told
I was
myself like
stuck in this I was
mm,
stuck in this loop, man, where with my guitar, where I would pawn it
get it
and
back.
promise I'd get it back and get it back, and then have to pawn it again. And it was like when I finally couldn't get it back, which it
Mm,
took me a while, but when I finally got to that point, that was what I considered like one of my rock bottoms, because I was
right,
no longer being able to pull off this scheme that I had, to support my habit. Um,
right.
ugh.
Yeah, the scheme of pawn, brilliant scheme like pawn your guitar for 300 and buy it back for 500 every
Yeah,
few
yeah.
weeks. Yeah.
Genius plan. Right.
Yeah, right. Um, but yeah, so I just remember somehow like I called the treatment center that I had been at with that girl, um, and told myself like I'm just like I don't have insurance. Can you guys please just like and just because they said like can you guys help me out, and they said yes, just because I had been there before and like I had played music in groups and like they liked me, I guess, I don't know, but like getting into a treatment center for free is not like usually doesn't happen.
Mhm.
um and I just told myself I'd stay sober long enough to record one song in a studio, and then see what happens. And that was the last, like that day sitting outside the pawn shop was the last time that I drank or did anything.
Wow.
Um, and it was just literally like that feeling of rock bottom, of like this is like the worst I've felt. Like withdrawals from heroin are the worst thing that I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
And then the emotional rock bottom, probably like what you like with your guitar, like it was just like, dude, like what am I doing?
Mhm.
like just not feeling good about yourself at all.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've worked the steps and helped others through the steps, and again, like kind of admitting here that like I kind of moved away from it because then I just get like it's sounds like an excuse, but it's a BS excuse. Like say I'm busy with music and don't need to go to the meeting today, and
Yeah. Well, I
um,
mean, I completely understand it. I mean, I worked in a program. I still sponsor people through the steps. I work at a place at a recovery community center here, and
mhm,
this is where this podcast is comes from. But
mhm,
uh, I don't go to meetings as often as I used to either. And
mhm.
I go when I speak at them, or play. Uh,
Yeah.
and but like where we work, there's so many different pathways to recovery.
Mhm,
AA works for some people, and I know it worked for me. But there's so many other ways, and I was curious, like music for me is a very healing thing. Like,
mhm,
um, for me, I believe that my recovery has evolved into pouring into my music and helping others in whatever way I can. And that I find spiritually rewarding. And it
mhm.
also just inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing because I don't want to ever. I remember that time when I pawned my guitar for the last time, and now I've got four guitars. I never had four guitars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
Right.
that I'll never have to pawn them. And it's like holding on to things like that. For me, like my relationship with God, that's where my recovery has gone. Like I just all
Mhm,
these other things that has morphed into that I've, just a life of successful sobriety where it's about giving back and helping others and finding ways to express yourself and breed positivity in others. So
mhm,
I know that like as much as you may feel like you need to get back, and maybe you do, if like it's always good to stay
mhm.
connected and involved, but I don't think it has to be that. Like I think as far as
Right.
meetings go, you should just be willing to go when you need one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you really get to the point where you need to go sit down in a meeting, you just have to be like, okay, I need to go. Or when you really don't want to go, that's always means that you usually need one. Or at
Yeah.
least that's how it works for me. But
Mhm.
yeah,
No, that's yeah, and I think like when I go into treatment centers, I try not to like be pushy about AA or anything just because I know that it's, for whatever reason, or tons of different reasons. Like some people it just doesn't I don't know if it's doesn't work for them, but it's just like I don't it was tough for me at first, like just to dive into AA. So
yeah,
like my piece of advice that I give people when I go into treatment centers is always like what helped me is exactly like kind of what you're saying here is finding like I talked about stage characters at the beginning, like now being like Logan the person in recovery or Logan the musician, like that's who I am today. Like so finding a purpose is like kind of what I
purpose.
want to like move
Yeah,
or the piece of advice that I offer people. And I'm trying to actually like in the process of starting like it's very early on, but like a nonprofit to kind of where I can start going around the country and telling my like kind of just helping like whatever the backup keyboardist for Leonard Skinner did for me.
right,
Like I want
right.
to like start going around and doing like if because if it was not for that guy, I would have never played in front of anyone.
Yeah,
I don't know like if I would have brought my guitar to the treatment center where Joe is my roommate. Um, if that guy did not show up to the rehab that I was at.
right,
So I think again, it doesn't need to be music. It can be anything, but just like finding another purpose outside of like for me, like being like just like a leech on society that like I was not serving any positive purpose for years.
right.
So again,
Yeah,
it doesn't
no,
have to
I
be
I
music.
agree with that wholeheartedly. Life without purpose is feels meaningless, and it can be anything. Art is a great anything where you're like being creative or you're trying to get back that you find purpose in
Hmm.
is can be really helpful. The I we didn't have anybody come play music at our rehab over there, and that's but I'd seen guys like you, another one who was inspirational to me was Jeremy Zeller. He's a
Hmm.
dude that does a similar thing, and so. I was like, I wanted to make my mine a little different because I didn't have a lot of confidence about my story. Like you kind of said earlier, there's guys who are crackheads and spent 20 years in prison and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I've been to jail a lot and I thought my life was pretty terrible, but there's definitely people who had it worse. And so like, I was like, I want to make it unique and not just for me, but for them. And I tell you whenever I speak and play because, I don't have a great voice and I'm not the best guitar player in the world, but I do it because I have a passion for it and I do it because I want to inspire someone else out there who probably is better at it than I am, to continue to go on and do it. And for the next person who is going to be inspired and could use it, because for me, that's what it's about, is just trying
Mhm.
to be a part of. You never know what one person, like you said, could influence your life and look what you've done and the amount of lives that you're affecting. You've got all kinds of followers and people that you're inspiring and encouraging in so many ways, which I love, man. I love that you're doing that. And you never know the ripple effects, right? The ripple
Right.
effect of what you're doing, it could go so much further. And then what of how those people that you're affecting are affecting people, it's endless.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like I wanted to reach out to that guy even just to say that like
Yeah.
he has no idea. This was like 12 years ago. Like the dude has no idea that he changed my life, or that I'm doing this now, and like hopefully I'm helping other people, and then they're going out and doing the same thing, and it's again all because this guy felt like going to Sevierville, Tennessee, and telling his story one day.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy to think about. But I don't know. I think there's something I wanted to ask, but I forgot what it was. That's another thing. Yeah, don't do drugs as this happens.
I got the
So,
same problem, man.
yeah.
Well, I know, like, so as you started doing this, what was like the next step? Like, I know you like start with a GoFundMe to try to, or some kind of funding to try to get your fans to help you get into the studio?
Yeah. So I again like yeah, when I got sober, my goal was to go to a studio and record one song. I ended up back here in Ohio, went into a studio. I did record that song and it was a song about it's called In Our Dreams. It was about somebody that we knew from back home that overdosed.
Yeah,
Um his name was Alex, but since then it's like I don't like unfortunately you're probably in the same boat. Like I know so many people
yeah,
like that are lost to addiction related stuff. Most recently is Joe, the guy that was my roommate in rehab. He ended up passing away a couple months ago.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I that was another like fear that I had to push through was after that first song. I was like, okay, like that was cool. Like I have a song on Spotify now. I want to keep doing more, but it's expensive to be in a studio. So the guy was like, well, what about like a Indiegogo or GoFundMe, like similar thing? But he's like, what about that? And I'm like, man, uh, like I used to
Hard to
steal
ask
money.
for money, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like I used to just take people's money. Like they know that they're not going to just give it to me.
Right.
Like, but we ended up raising like $10,000
Wow.
uh for that, and it got like eight or nine song, probably more than that, but it was just kind of again, I was like 2 or 3 years sober at the time. And it was just crazy. Like I had, I don't know, like 5,000, 6,000 Facebook followers. Maybe I don't know how many, but it was just crazy to see like just that was like another I've noticed like along the way like there's little like things that you notice that kind of let you know that you're like on the right path.
Yeah,
Again, even if it was like meeting Joe in treatment or went going to that talent show, stuff like that. But just seeing that like people were behind my story like from the beginning, and like wanted to help me record music, was pretty crazy.
yeah,
From someone who like hated themselves a few years before that. And honestly, like probably at like two or three, like I still wasn't like truly confident or anything. I don't know if you're that way, but it's like not like I don't get up there and sing and think I'm John Mayer or anything. Like it's the same six chords
yeah.
that I know, like.
Yeah, well, you heard me say that I'm not a great singer or a great guitar player, and I go into every one of them with anxiety.
Mhm.
But I've gotten to the point now where like I kind of said earlier, that I like that anxiety because I know it's not going to prevent me from doing it. I'm going to
Mhm.
face it. I'm going to push through it, and I know my heart's in the right place because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for praise and accolades and money. I'm doing it because it's good for my soul and I want to help somebody. I hope that it
Right,
inspires somebody else to
right,
seek recovery or see that recovery can be fun and different and doesn't have to be like, just what so many people think it's going to be. Because that was the excuse I used for a long time without ever going to a rehab or anything was, I'm going to be bored. Sobriety's gonna be boring. I can't be bored, so I'll just end up using again. So why waste my time even trying? And
mhm,
sobriety, I just had 5 years, and it's been anything but boring.
right,
It's flown by, and I met my wife in church, and I like my job is to help people in recovery, and it's just like I have joy and peace in my life, which I never had. You never
right.
know how bad you need peace until you find it. And then
Mhm.
once you find it, you don't want to lose it. It's one of those things that's priceless. So, but I understand, like every time there's still that anxiety, there's still that fear that tries to creep in, and I have to, face it head on.
Right. Yeah, and kind of just like recognize it for what it is. Like,
Hmm.
that's what I was telling somebody recently. Like the negative thoughts, like they don't stop or any like
Mm-mm.
they're different, I guess. Like it's not telling me to go drink today or do anything, but it's still like on the other side of the screen, I have like I'm like working on making another song, and it's like I could probably like I have a ton of fun doing it, but then there are like I don't know, maybe once an hour or something, like my head will tell me something negative, like no one's gonna listen to the song anyways or whatever, and it's just like recognize the thought for what it is, and then keep moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And
Fight through that, man, because I was listening to some of your songs today just to kind of refresh,
mhm,
and you're doing good stuff, man, with a good message, and I
thank you,
really like it is inspiring to me, and I guarantee it's inspiring to other people. So don't
thank you.
don't let those thoughts ever win. You hear me?
Right. Yeah. No, it's and that's I try to like and I think what you're doing is awesome too. It kind of just um I don't know, like that was like just like hearing you be real or like me talking about the negative thoughts that I still have like when I was early on, like sometimes that was the stuff that I needed to hear. Because I would like again like 5 years or 9 years sober, however long we have, like I just assumed like okay, well this guy's life is perfect now. And I'm sitting here a week sober in a halfway house, like I'm not gonna get there.
Well, that was
But
one of the lessons I had to learn pretty early on. There were people who
Mhm.
had, well, I had a buddy when I was in rehab who had 7 years sobriety, and one of his friends that lived in Orlando overdosed and died, and he went down to the memorial, used, overdosed, and died. And
Wow.
so, like and me 2 months in rehab, my instinct was, what's the point, man? You could have 7 years sober and this disease could still kill you. And I was about to leave the rehab so I could go to his memorial, and who knows? I could have maybe overdosed and died. When
Right.
does the domino effect stop? Somebody has to stop. Somebody has to stand up. So luckily, by the grace of God, I was able to take the attitude that I have to use that as fuel to be vigilant in this every day, no matter how much time you have under your belt. It doesn't matter. You're still susceptible if you let those negative thoughts start to creep in. And I really appreciated you sharing that. I think it was a day or two ago you shared something uh, about how people can scroll through, kind of like what we're talking about, your Facebook page and see all this positive stuff and forget that you're still struggle with the same things that you used to struggle with. You just have learned better tools and techniques to deal with them than running into the bottle like I always did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just happy, sad, rainy, sunny, whatever it was, any excuse I could use to drink or use.
Right.
And it's just learning, like, that doesn't make it better. That's a temporary solution. I got to find different ways, different outlets to deal with that, which music has been one of them. Art's another one for me. Working in recovery, trying to help people obviously really helps because I see people at their worst on a regular, and reminds me of what I don't want to go back to. But I also get to see the success stories, and I love that. I love that. So, but I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that because a lot of people don't think about that, or because everybody's life looks perfect on Facebook if they want it to,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
It
that's
was
obviously it's not.
right. Yeah, and it's like I don't know. Yeah, just it's always something that kind of like felt weird to me. It's just like when I see is positive, and then I realized I was kind of doing it. So it's like I don't know. I don't want anybody to, yeah, like to think that it's something that's just unattainable. Like, well, Logan's life's perfect. He has thousands of Facebook followers and records music all the time, and his life's great. And it's like that's what like
Yeah,
you see, but uh, it's not always
right.
like everybody's still human. And I don't know, back to like one thing that you said, like just like with the peace and finding peace and recovery and everything, it kind of made me think, just randomly, like that everything that we probably were looking for, drinking, or drugs, like that feeling of just being okay and peace, like ironically happens when you stop drinking.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it's just super weird. Like all I wanted when I drank, all I wanted to do was just like feel okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel okay until I stopped drinking. It's just kind of like a weird
Right,
cycle
because
going
I
on.
mean it's a depressant. It's not making anything better. You know what I mean? It's a poison that we're putting in our body. And like once our body heals and our mind starts to heal and we start, you know, gaining some confidence about and learning to love ourselves for who we are. That's a huge part of it for me. Like, because like when I was young, it was just always like, why can't I be this person or why can't I have this or why? And it was just, I piled that on myself. And then instead of trying to use it to fuel me bettering myself anyway, I just ran from it, from the pressure because we're young, we don't know. We don't have the tools, and maybe there's no one showing us.
Right.
But to be able to like really take a look at myself and learn to love myself for who I am and try to use, what God's given me to try and help other people, like it flip the script on it, right? And then yeah, as long as you stay away from the drinking and the using and focus on those things, that's when, yeah, that peace starts settling in. You're like, okay, like this is what a life worth living is all about. We're not merely existing anymore. We're actually living a life worth living. And that is where the peace and the joy start settling in, where, that's how it worked for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would just, I guess, yeah, anybody listening, like, try to remember that. And, like, even when the thoughts start popping back up that drinking or doing some drug is going to fix whatever problem is going on, like, it's not going to do that. It's like, even like, I had relapsed multiple times, like, before my first year. And then once I relapsed after a year. But relapsing never fixed the problems.
Yeah.
It made it worse every single time. Like relapse, like after a relationship ended, doing heroin didn't like after like that relationship I talked about didn't work out. Like doing heroin did not fix
No,
how like did not fix the
no.
problem. It made it much worse.
It's crazy
Uh,
that wasn't obvious at the time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but that's how we think, man. It's crazy what becomes normal in the chaos. It
yeah.
really is. Um, so now you do this for a living, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to like it's still like you mentioned like doing it for the accolades and the money and like it's what I'm finding is like making money in music can be tough, which is kind of what I wanted to start leaning into more of like the treatments, like going and telling my story places and stuff. But it is still very cool, like again, like just from look back on sitting outside that pawn shop with my guitar, to today, like we're it's not like like again, like if you looked at my Facebook, you might not know it, but I'm not making, you know, $5,000 a month doing music or anything. Not
Yeah,
yet, but like it's to see from where it was to where it is now, like it's starting to get to that point, like to where hopefully I can like do it full time.
yeah,
Um and that would be enough for me is just to be able to do something that I like doing or love doing for a living,
sure,
you know.
sure.
So
Well, I mean, one of the cool things is that maybe because where I work and where we're at, there's several treatment facilities around here that I call doing the circuit that I do at least twice a year. And
Yeah.
so if you ever want to come down this way and do the circuit or hit a couple of them, I can definitely help set that up for you.
Yeah, dude, I'd be down. Yeah, I was gonna hit you up after this and just see how we could again, like I mentioned, like the collaborating on music and stuff, but then also any of the telling our stories and whatnot too would be cool.
Yeah.
I'd
Um,
definitely be
yeah, we would definitely have to do that. So like moving forward, you said you're working on a song right there on the other side of that
yeah.
camera. And what do you got, like a big vision board up there? Like, what does it look like? Describe it to me.
I wish I could like actually turn the thing around, but so I have like I have like two monitors up in front of me. I actually like had to unplug my keyboard and put it over here. But I'm working on like a bunch of like recording. That's I guess another thing along the way. Like I started um teaching myself how to produce music a little bit. Like so when you go in for any musicians that might listen, like when you go into a studio, if you're an acoustic artist like we are, like you go in with an acoustic song idea and you either leave with the acoustic song idea recorded or you add other stuff to it. The moment that you start adding stuff to it, the longer you're spending at the studio, and the longer you spend at the studio, the more money you spend at the studio.
Right.
So I started like teaching myself music production. And right now it's actually a Christmas song. I started trying to do like one Christmas song a year.
That's cool.
Um, so it's the like 80s Last Christmas. I think George Michael sings it like I've been listening to like a bunch of like weird 80s stuff like with all the synthesizers and everything.
Oh yeah, I kind of have been in. I listen to some of that old stuff when I exercise, like doing
Yeah.
cardio or something, because it has a beat to it, and it's
Yeah.
like I like the weird synthy stuff. I play
Mhm.
around with a synthesizer and a keyboard. I would never say that I play, but I'm always dabbling in it like that. And
Mhm.
guitar are my favorite two instruments and
Right.
like I would love to get in a studio sometime because I use the podcast equipment that I have. Like they're good
Mhm.
mics. I have a board and stuff, but it is not ideal. If you ever go check out my YouTube and listen to some of it, you'll see like the quality is not great. But
Mhm.
I try to remind myself I'm early in this and like I'm doing it for like because I have a passion about it. And hopefully one day I will be able to afford getting in a studio or do something like that because that would be really cool and probably make me sound a lot better. But
That's, I mean, I don't know if you need it, but sometimes I need to put auto, like you can bury the auto tune in the vocals,
yeah,
but it's still there. Like if you hear and think that I sound good singing, which I guess I do, but sometimes you still need to put the auto tune on it no matter who's singing. So,
yeah,
uh,
right.
but, yeah, dude, I mean, any questions with the music stuff, like you can always hit me up.
Okay,
That was
awesome.
I kind of again, it was like another little check mark or cool thing along the way that just like let me know. Like again, the songs, some of them have done okay, but like nothing's blown up and they haven't gone viral. But each one is like a little success from being outside that pawn shop, wanting to
Sure.
record just one song.
Oh yeah, man.
Um,
You've come a long way and you've affected a lot of people in ways you probably may never even know about.
right.
That's one of the things that I've learned in like trying to help people. I sometimes will get caught up in I'm trying to help this person and he doesn't seem to be getting it or we'll lose him to overdose or something like that and I could get discouraged. And then someone peripherally who I wasn't even meaning to help will come and tell
Yeah.
me how much that what they see me doing or doing for other people has helped them. And it's just like
Mhm.
little things like that or those little bits of encouragement I need to keep going because I mean, it could get you can get jaded really easily trying to help people or trying to even doing what you're doing and trying to put out this positive message all the time and knowing that it's a battle on the real to stay
Yeah.
positive and continue because I always back when I used to play in the madness I always felt I could only write when I was at my darkest, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I believed. Like my best stuff was when I was dark and it was relatable. People could relate
Mhm.
to this because
Yeah.
that's where I was. And I so much more enjoy writing about like the positive, happy, things that have happened since I've gotten sober and being an
Mhm.
encouragement and sharing that there is darkness, but there's also light. Like that brings more, it's more of a spiritual reward than I ever thought. And I know the songs are better than,
Right.
and they're, even though people can relate to things on a wide spectrum of stuff, I feel like people want to be uplifted as much as possible. And so, and you
Yeah.
definitely are doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say actually we'll need to talk more because I still struggle with the um like I don't know if it's easier for me to write the negative stuff, but like I was also like as positive as all my Facebook posts are, I was scrolling through like half of my music and I was like, man, like some of these are like extremely depressing. Um it's like it's kind of weird. But I do agree like in my head it was like, oh, I need to record all of the sad stuff about addiction or like some not all of them are sad or anything, but it was just like, oh, these will be easier to people to relate to. But and then I just naturally forget that like exactly what you said that people actually probably would prefer to be uplifted by stuff. I'm glad you said it because I need to remind myself of that a lot. That it's like the happy music and the windows down like singing something, just again driving down the highway with the windows down. Like that's the music that then they want to hear the sad stuff too, but there's
Right.
nothing
Well, I
wrong with
think
being
people connect a
positive.
lot with the sadness when they're in the sadness, but if they because I collected with a lot of music when I was in the sadness. I mean, I've always been passionate about music. Music has
Mhm.
saved my life on so many levels, just a song that I needed at the right time, and that I connected with, or I played on repeat for a whole day, just
Yeah,
because it spoke to me or whatever. But I know like even when you feel that way in the sadness or in the darkness, the depressions, you feel it feels good to feel somebody relating to you and connecting to where you're at. It also feels so good to know that you can come out of that, and that's where
yeah,
the positive parts comes. Like, and that's why I try to do a little bit of both in mine, where I'll talk about the darkness, but then show like what's possible on the other side of this,
yeah,
So.
yeah. It almost makes like the light feel a little bit brighter, like if they understand the dark part of it,
I
and
mean, if
you know,
without darkness, the light wouldn't mean as much, right? Without sadness,
yeah,
happiness wouldn't mean as much. So you have to have both, and I
Mhm.
think it's good that we have both. It's just learning to the pathway to happiness and the tools to stay happy and to make positive choices and things like that. I mean, a lot of us don't have the people telling us how to do that, especially at a young age. And we're just influenced by our environment and our friends and our music. And so it's a process, man. It took me a long time. I'm about to be 48. I didn't get sober till I was 42.
Mhm.
I was 30 years out there. And by the
See,
grace of
that's
God, I
great. That's
survived,
like,
man.
yeah, 30 years doing that. That's you
Yeah.
get your ass kicked out there for 30 years
Yeah,
too. Like that's
yeah,
I
that's
don't
what it was. That's what it
yeah.
was. And I
Right.
mean, it was fun for a while, in the
Mhm.
beginning, until it wasn't. Like you said, eventually it all catches up with you, even when
Right.
you think you're pulling it off. Because like you said earlier, I had 90 college credits and I never graduated college either. I
Yeah.
didn't have a scholarship to play baseball, but I know a guy who did, who's in recovery, who had a scholarship to play baseball, and he like tore something in his shoulder, and that sent him off into addiction.
Yeah,
Because
they had to give him pills for whatever your injury was, and
yeah, yeah,
there you
that
go.
kind of thing.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
a lot of us, that's one of the things that was also encouraging me to when I went to rehab was, you feel like you're alone and no one gets it, but then you get there and realize a lot of people get it,
Yeah.
a lot of people want to be better. And so
Right.
that was encouraging to find out you're not alone and that there was a solution. Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, keep doing what you're doing, man, because I know the people that helped me the most, like just any place I was at seeking recovery, were the ones that had been through it themselves. And not to say anything like the people that hadn't gone through it, like the psychiatrists or anything, were bad or anything. It was just so much easier to relate and see someone that had been through what I was going through, like make it out the other side. So, Keep up the good work on your end, man. It's awesome.
Thanks, brother. And you too, man. Do you want to shout out anything? I'm going to put the links to all your social media in here, but if you want to
Mhm.
shout out anything.
Yeah, I guess just Logan Bruce music on any social media platform and every stream, like on Spotify, Apple Music, that all helps a ton. I get 0.004 cents for every stream, so I need millions of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thanks for asking me to be on, man. I needed this a lot. It helps to get on and talk about this stuff, so thank
Yeah.
you.
Amen. Awesome, bro. All right. Thanks a lot, brother. Check us out on YouTube or listen to our audio versions on Apple, Google, Spotify, Podbean. And as always, stay grateful.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.